every part of the day, every part of your life rolls into the pursuit of being your best self, whether it's your rest, your training, your nutrition, the psychological and emotional component of it. It is a massive undertaking, and you can't do it based on just a pure general desire.
I always say that you get a next level of respect when you build right. In my bubbles, if somebody comes in, nobody knows how much money you are worth when you walk into the room, even though you might be the wealthiest. But when somebody walks in with the body, it's next level.
And I want everybody else who's on the outside to understand that there's some really powerful, inspiring resources that live within the fitness community.
Welcome to the Mastering the Inner and Outer Wealth podcast with Jarek Tadla. Today we have Dan Solomon, which is the president of Mr. Olympia. I think that's the most iconic, fitness, I want to say organization and everything you guys do. So welcome. Thank you for being here.
It's an honor to be with you. I know you talk to a lot of really amazing people. So to be in this room, in this chair today, it really means a lot. You've done incredible work leveraging your story, your experiences, and turning it into something that really is inspiring people who go so far beyond where you started. And
exactly.
And that's really a big part of, I'm sure, why you're doing this podcast.
Yes, it is. But we want to know your story. Like everybody knows my story. I will ask questions, but tell me like your journey. And I always tell people, it's not about the journey. It's not about the destination. It's about the people we become on the way to the journey. And tell me your journey. Like, come on. I mean, you're the president of Mr. Olympia. Like, what?
By the way,
I want to say, what the fuck?
I love that you started with what you just. I love that you started with what you just said, because you're right. It is not about trying to have things. It's about trying to become, right? And that's really what it's all about. So for me, a couple decades ago, I started a journey in the fitness industry. And it's a part of the fitness industry that not a lot of people fully understand. It is the global fitness industry, the part that really connects all elements of it. This is not the gym industry. This is not the personal training world. This is the multi-billion-dollar side of the global fitness industry that connects all layers of people who share that transformational spirit, that desire to become the very best version of themselves. It's an industry that brings together nutrition, supplementation, equipment, apparel, all of those things that fuel this massive industry. And somewhere perched atop all of that is the Olympia, which is the preeminent showcase event in the world of fitness. And not only does Olympia weekend serve as the preeminent world championships of bodybuilding and fitness and all of that sort of thing, the very event that Arnold Schwarzenegger won 7 times was the Mr. Olympia. But it also brings together the commerce of the Olympia. So there's an expo that is held in conjunction as the centerpiece of the Olympia weekend. And
how many days is there?
The Olympia Expo takes place over 2 days. Olympia, the event is almost a full week, and it entails a myriad of things ranging from meet and greets to press conferences to amateur events to, of course, the World Championship Mr. Olympia event, the iconic night that everybody watches. That sort of is the crescendo, the rarefied air, the top of the world. It is the World Cup. It is the Super Bowl. It is the NBA Finals. It is all of that. That's what it represents in the world of competitive physique sports. So the Olympia is a really unique experience. It is loaded with sensory overload. It is a very visceral, inspiring experience. People come there, they leave there with enough inspiration to fuel a year's worth of workouts. But more than that, they become educated, they become informed, they connect with like-minded people. It started years ago, or back in the 1965, when the Olympia was born by the iconic pioneering founder, a gentleman named Joe Weider, started all of this. And he started it back when bodybuilding wasn't really a respected discipline. In fact, if anything, it was almost frowned upon as a dangerous activity, one that wasn't welcomed in Hollywood. It wasn't welcomed in professional sports. Teams didn't have trainers. You didn't see gyms on every corner. There weren't sports nutrition companies. And so all of this was ushered in by Joe Weider, and then he created the Mr. Olympia to serve as more or less the Super Bowl of the sport. It was actually born the same year the Super Bowl itself was born. So, yeah, it's definitely something that has become a real central artery for those people who live, eat, sleep, and breathe this lifestyle. And I'm glad to be here to talk to you about it.
Okay. Thank you. Tell me, it's because now the awareness, so you saw like, how the whole industry is changing, right? And it's the awareness of now, like you said, like it's on every corner. Yeah. Everywhere you go, there's like health. And it's like, how do you know it's like what is healthy and which, like if you have to guide somebody, hey, I want to get healthy, but like, I talk a lot about mental health, emotional intelligence and physical health, because I think they're connected enormously.
Yep. How
do you guide somebody? It's like, this is like if you have to give somebody like a 1-minute script, it's like, listen, I want to be healthy. And I want to also, like I talk a lot about, and we just talked before, longevity. Because, we want to, not now, we want to live longer. So why would like a 1-minute script is like, hey, do this, like a 1-minute script,
Well, if there was a 1-minute synopsis of this discipline, I'd be very, very wealthy. With that said, though, it's a great question. And the truth of the matter is the bodies that walk on our stage, while they are extraordinary, while they are cartoonish in nature, it's not about trying to become that. That's what makes this lifestyle in Olympia so unique. It's not about becoming Mr. Olympia. It's about harnessing what those extraordinary athletes represent in terms of learning from them, being inspired by them. But to focus on what you said regarding longevity, anti-aging wellness, that's become a major evolution over the last few years. And I'm really proud of that too, because I know I've had a chance to get close to a lot of people in that space, including a dear friend of yours, Sam Tejada, who's been just an amazing friend of mine to be able to sort of...
He's my friend.
Yeah. And
he's my friend.
Yes. Well, you know what? Can we share him?
No.
Okay, well...
I'm not sharing.
I would say I would negotiate. I would say I would negotiate this further, but you've never lost a negotiation, so this probably isn't going to go my way. But with that said... guys like Sam and others, we're all working together to try to build an important bridge between the world of bodybuilding and fitness and the world of longevity and wellness. Because incredibly enough, for the longest time, these were completely separate ideas. People who got up every day and trained and lived this lifestyle, they didn't pay attention to what was going on in the world of anti-aging, preventative medicine, all of these disciplines that are becoming very popular now. And there are esteemed doctors who used to spend their careers prescribing medicine, prescription medication, who have started to move over to the wellness and the longevity side. And because these powerful brains are starting to infiltrate that world, you're starting to see major advancements. And you're starting to see folks who are on both sides. The folks that are in the wellness space are starting to pay attention to what's happening in the world of fitness, because the fitness individuals are the ones who wake up every morning and live this lifestyle. So they need to know what's going on. But then on the other side, the people in the fitness side need to pay attention to what's happening in the world of wellness, because you need to find a healthy approach to all of this, because we're not here to try to create giants who don't live a full life. And that's oftentimes the misnomer. Some people are quick to assume that bodybuilders aren't healthy. And you want to know what? Many of them are not. It's like any extreme sport. I've talked about this, over and over through the years. Extreme bodybuilding is an intense discipline. To many, it's like jumping out of an airplane,
But that's what I want to tell you. Like because you surround yourself with the top people. Yeah. Like there's like I cannot even imagine. Like if you guys can Google it, like Mr. Olympia, what is the percentage? I think it's like the last time I did it. It was like a 1/1,000,000th of the. So you with the top of people. What is their mindset? Like how because they all have something in common. What is the mindset?
They have an insatiable appetite and an obsessive desire to be better today than they were yesterday. And it's more so in this space than any other community that I've ever experienced. There's something about the day-to-day reality of fitness and physique transformation and bodybuilding that taps into and harnesses the power of just being better in a way that I don't know that any other discipline does. But you're right about being surrounded by the best. I'm very fortunate to have access to some amazing innovators, coaches, athletes, just leaders in all parts of the fitness community. That's the one thing that's great, and I know you can relate to this in a very powerful way. When you reach the level where you're at, or when you do what I do, you have access to some extraordinary people who function just at a higher level, and their brains do things that other people's brains can't do. They have the capacity to reach higher, to go further. And but really at the core,
well, we have a higher pain. I think
a pain threshold.
A pain threshold.
Yeah,
like completely higher.
For sure.
Like for somebody, it's like this is normal.
Yeah.
What? Like we just talked about Ironman. I can just jump on the bike right now, swim, and I can do Ironman zero.
Which is
zero
unrelatable. Which, by the way, is unrelatable to me. The fact that you could literally, without training, get on an airplane, fly somewhere, and start an Ironman and run that marathon and bike the 100
Remember, the
miles.
marathon is for the cool down. First you swim, then you bike 112 miles, and then you do the marathon for the cool down.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
But that's what I have to prepare. You know, I always tell my body, it's like, okay, we're swimming to get to the bike, and we get the bike to get to the marathon. And when we get to the marathon, we got to cool down our body because our body's already exhausted.
Sure.
So then the recovery start, after the race.
Absolutely. And that's a good metaphor for a lot of things.
So we have the threshold for the pain. But what do you think the grit and because like for me, the not enoughness, it was never enough until it become a curse. Because it's a gift. The not enoughness, it's a gift. What do you because it's like, is this like a childhood trauma? Something happened, they have carry the wounds, they want to prove the world, they want to prove to themselves, because we all want to become better.
Yeah, I think the best part about the fitness industry is not the bodies, it is the stories. It is the things that drive these individuals to be great. You're 100%. You're 100% right. When you see people that reach the top of that mountain, whether it's becoming Mr. Olympia or anything along those lines, and you dig in and you peel away the layers, you will discover somebody typically that has overcome something, that got on this crusade to evolve past some, whether it's a childhood trauma or something that they experienced or they observed in their life, in their childhood, in their young adult life. It could have been born from a relationship. They could have been bullied. They could have observed health crises in their own family or among their own friends. There's always something, because in order to go this far, this suffering, sacrificial level of intensity, bodybuilding is also unique because you don't take a lesson or have a workout and go home. The level that the Olympia world is, every part of the day, every part of your life rolls into the pursuit of being your best self, whether it's your rest, your training, your nutrition, the psychological and emotional component of it. It is a massive undertaking, and you can't do it based on just a pure general desire, the same desire that might make someone take up golf. This is another threshold of desire that takes somebody down this path. And when you reach that mountaintop and you're able to become or compete or walk on the Olympia stage, there's a pretty good chance that there's something in those earlier years that will explain why somebody was willing to take that ride.
I mean, they have to breathe, eat, like everything. Their thoughts, like what I would love to, like when I'm always like surrounded by successful people, like like I want to be in their brain. What is the thought process? Because then you have to. It's like not only, let's say you go to the gym for 3 hours, 6 hours a day, but when you leave the gym, the work just started.
Yeah.
It's not like, it's that's the beginning. Now he's got to live until it goes to the gym again. Now you got to fuel the body, and not only like, with the calories, but also with the thoughts, with emotions, with feelings. And it's like, so he doesn't lose the grit.
Right.
And, it's, do like those high level athletes, do they have a psychologist that travel with them? So they spend a lot of time with the psychologists to like, or mental coaches, or I'm asking, I'm wondering.
It's a good question, but think about this. With everything the picture that you just painted with what they go through, when they finally get to their judgment day, the day where it's game day, they walk onto a stage wearing next to nothing. They're completely vulnerable. They're completely exposed. Every nuance of their preparation is there for the world to see. They're standing in front of, in the case of the Olympia as an example, or even at the amateur level, in a room with thousands of people, and they're being observed, they're being judged. A panel of 7 judges who are strangers to them are picking out every flaw. Remember, in the sport of elite competitive bodybuilding, it's not even about your strengths, it's about trying to find those weaknesses. So just imagine having a profession where you go through all of that, and on game day, the entire goal is for them to figure out, because you could have everything right about that physique, but if the hamstrings aren't inserting the right way into the glute, or if the sweep on the quad isn't symmetrical, or if the width of the hourglass, or the whatever it is, I can go all day long with physiques. But if that stuff doesn't play out the way it's supposed to, it's marked down, and you will lose, and you will be deemed unsuccessful on that day, despite months and months, sometimes years of intense preparation. Now, at least when you run your Ironman race, it's not subjective. You have a time, you win, you lose, you finish first, you finish 8th, whatever it is, it's black and white. In the subjective arena that is competitive physique competition, you're at the mercy of a subjective idea of what on that particular day is considered the ideal physique. So you start talking about the psychological component of that.
That's exactly how.
It's hard sometimes for a competitor to wrap their arms around why they didn't win. But I always say this: if you take on this lifestyle, it's not about what the judges thought. It's not about what your critics on social media thought about you. It's about you versus you. And I always say, and I'm going to say something that I say a lot, if you are willing to take on this lifestyle, whether it's for a year, whether it's for 2 or 3 contests, or whether it's for a full career of doing this, no matter what you do next in your lifetime, you will be infinitely more successful, because nothing is as vulnerable, as challenging, nor as difficult as doing that.
It's funny, we start talking, I wrote a question for you. It's actually, and you brought the question. 20 years ago, I was at Tony Robbins. This guy, I don't know, I mean, he was like, his body was like a Mr. Olympia body. You know what I mean? Like perfect, you know? And he said, anything I touch, like, you know, my food, my this, like I'm successful in this industry. He was, I don't know if he was Mr. Body, he was like a bodybuilder, right? But I fell as a businessman. Like, I don't know how to be a successful businessman. And I was looking, and I'm like, Jesus, brother, you are so disciplined. You have the grit. You have everything. It just like how, like we business people, we get lucky. Look at, I'm getting goosebumps. We cheat sometimes. We get something served on the plate. Like you are like, he was like, I'm committed for 17 years to everything. He was going through the process, through my thoughts, through my my diet, everything I put in, how I sleep, all the workouts, everything is like written, like it's a like discipline. And then I'm like, just switch your mind, dude. It's
just apply that same idea.
The business is as easy, because in business, if you do the work, people will help you. You can cheat. You can get drunk and still get the best deal next day. Yeah. You know, you cannot show up in this sports. You know, and 2 years later, Tony Robbins gave him like few things. 2 years later, the guy was like, you know, he was on the selling the products and all this stuff. So completely took it. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, and it's a lot of successful, you know, not only like Mr. Olympia, but a lot of successful athletes, because they go through the grid. They know how to do it in all the other aspects. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's, and I just asked the question is how hard this stuff is. And it's because they cannot truly just ignore one thing, because suddenly like you naked, you completely vulnerable.
Right.
And it's how do people like go after competition? Let's say, what is the percentage of people that kind of break down?
It's tough, but I think it's the same thing that applies to a lot of professional athletes. They're so used to competing. That's why a lot of former professional athletes in other sports, we've seen retired NFL players, we've seen other athletes, they'll come in to the world of bodybuilding and physique competition because they need to continue to express their desire to be a competitor. But you're right, it's a great point. When all of a sudden you wake up one day and you don't have a date circled as to when you're going to be competing next, what drives you? What gets you in the gym? What keeps you going? And for a lot of them, they really do struggle. There is a psychological element. I mean, we even saw during the pandemic, during COVID, there were people that were world championship elite bodybuilders that took their own life. We saw that on a few occasions because all of a sudden gyms weren't open. They weren't available to them. So whatever was being released in their brains that were providing whatever they needed to feel, they were not able to experience that. So if there was depression or if there was any other things in their life, they didn't have that layer of protection that training and getting that pump would provide for them. And all of a sudden, you're right, it can become a crisis. So managing that, and that's why a lot of times you'll see retired professional bodybuilders, they'll stay in the business of the space and they'll achieve tremendous success. That is one of the fun parts about the fitness industry. It is powerfully entrepreneurial.
Because you have so many levels. You can,
correct.
Like you can go in many, many directions. It can take you, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And also global. There are countries where the Olympia or the sport of bodybuilding are among their most popular sports in places throughout the Middle East and other places. I've talked about this, and it's a really fun thing to experience. Every once in a while, I don't do as much global travel as I probably should, but every once in a while, I'll stop by another country and I'll get to meet with individuals who live this lifestyle, and I will see what it means to them to be a part of this lifestyle, and it's become a massively popular global endeavor. It's one of the reasons why the Olympia has grown at such an astounding rate. It's, like I said, there was a time when it was a bodybuilding competition held in an auditorium. Now we bring 30, 40,000 people to Las Vegas every year, and we sell out.
How many?
We sell out whatever theater we put it in. We can sell out an arena. We can sell out a major theater. And we sell these tickets out in 2 or 3 days. They're gone. So when I invite you this year to come to the Olympia, my hope is that you will take full advantage of the fact that I'm going to hold a seat for you.
We're in, Sam, right?
Because that's going to be the same seat that many, many, many people are not going to be able to buy because these tickets sell out so fast. And the front row at the Olympia is a very sparkling collection of famous, iconic people. We have tremendous people that show up at the Olympia. We have people like Mark Wahlberg who comes to the Olympia, or Shaquille O'Neal who comes to the Olympia, or Dwayne Johnson who's been to the Olympia, or of course Arnold Schwarzenegger, a 7-time Olympia champion, who not only did he win the Olympia, but then he went on and created an event of his own that he puts on every year in Ohio called the Arnold Classic, which is a great event. And he does that as an extension of his roots as a Mr. Olympia champion. And he leveraged his experience as a 7-time Olympia champion to become an iconic Hollywood star, to become the governor of California. And he's the first one to credit his roots in bodybuilding for having taken him down that path. And there are other stories like that. Obviously, that's the more prolific, high-profile story that we all talk about.
We like to hear those stories. That's how we get inspired. That's how we get motivated.
Of course. I mean, how many of us wake up each morning and we see Dwayne Johnson's videos where he's training at 4 a.m. or Mark Wahlberg, or, there was a time where Hollywood didn't even embrace muscle. Leading men didn't have muscle. Now you have guys like Dave Bautista and Wahlberg and all these guys who are getting big-time leading roles in films, making $15, $20, $30 million a film. And these are folks that earned their initial brand because of their bodies.
Yep.
And so that's really gratifying for us to see, because back in the day, the only time you saw a bodybuilder in a movie was when he was playing the bouncer who didn't speak. And now you're seeing guys taken very seriously. And a lot of that credit goes to the promotional machine in the WWE, what Dana's doing, what Dana White's doing in the UFC. And we've all kind of connected in different ways. And you come to UFC events, we try to support the UFC. The UFC guys, they come to our Olympia. And we're all just, I think, enamored by each other. Now, we all want to do it like Dana does it for the UFC. He's built something that's extraordinary. But of course, it's a little bit easier, in fairness, to market people beating each other up than it is to market bodybuilders hitting poses on a stage, right? So there's an inherent burden of production value that comes on the bodybuilding side that creates a little bit more challenge to create something, more visceral, more powerful, more entertaining. And that's something that I've really worked on over the last few years. But generally speaking, we have a lot of really great things going. We have an owner, a gentleman named Jake Wood, who acquired the Olympia about 6 years ago, and a very authentic, passionate, diehard fitness enthusiast, bodybuilding guy. And he's affording us the ability to do some things that, quite frankly, hadn't been done before. We've gotten prize money up into the multi-millions, so we're proud of that. When the first Olympia was held, the winner, Larry Scott, got $1,000. And now we're up to a point where this year we gave $600,000 to the winner, and it's continuing to grow, and it's showing no signs of slowing down. So,
I was going to ask, what is next?
Yeah, no, I mean, really, what's next is it's for a while the focus was on production value. We've done that. We've taken it to a whole nother level. There was a time where the focus is always going to be on prize money. That's a whole nother thing. Now the focus is on just growing and connecting with new audiences. It's about connecting with individuals like you, being on programs like this, talking to audiences like those who are driving in their car right now, listening to your podcast, giving them a chance to understand that there's a world out there that exists that might be a little bit foreign to them. But they'll come, they'll attend the Olympia, they'll immerse themselves in that inspiring, motivational, educational environment of Olympia weekend or other fitness events around the world, because there's other events from LA to Dubai to Germany to Las Vegas to South Florida. And my hope is that people start to connect with that, and they start to surround themselves by people who live this lifestyle and share in this energy, much the same way you probably did many years in real estate or other people do in their industries. It's something that we take great pride in welcoming new people, because it's its own addiction, but it can be a very positive one.
Okay. I always say, you tell me, because you're surrounded by all the very fitness and, very healthy people. I always say that you get a next level of respect when you build right. People look at you when you enter the room and you've been in those rooms, people enter. Is this normal for you to see somebody better?
Yeah.
Because for me, in my bubbles, it's if somebody it's comes in, nobody knows how much money you are worth when you walk into the room, even though you might be the wealthiest. But when somebody walks in with the body and you can see through their clothes, the present, and it's next level, at least not only to me, to people suddenly it's
So when I first arrived,
seriously,
when I first started doing this, even when I first started living the lifestyle myself, back in the day, I would see a well-built male or female, and I would marvel over the physique. Mm-hmm. Now when I see that, the first thing I think of is that person is a next level performer. That person is devoted and dedicated. A lot of times you'll see fitness enthusiasts or bodybuilders married or dating other fitness enthusiasts or bodybuilders.
Yeah.
And you say, well, is it just because they want to work out together? No, it's not just because they want to train together. It's not just because they want to be with somebody who has a physique that rivals their own. In most cases, because that's superficial bullshit. What runs deeper, what's more sustainable, is the fact that when those two individuals find each other, typically it's people that want more out of life. They want to maximize their experience. They are dedicated.
And it's there for the showcase.
Right. But they share this mutual appetite to be great and to be the best version of themselves. And that's a very sexy quality, right? When you look at somebody else and you get past the muscle and you say somewhere deep within them is somebody who is organized, is focused, is dedicated, is devoted to something. That's the kind of people you want to be around.
Yeah, because that's how we somebody who walks in is for me gain different level of respect.
Yeah,
and not only for me, for a lot of people, but you are around it. So do you you take this for granted? You think everybody's supposed to look?
I try not to. It's funny you say that. I try not to.
Because it's
so. Not too long ago, I was having dinner with a guy named Phil Heath. Phil Heath won our event 7 times. He's one of the greatest bodybuilders of all time. And I was sitting there having dinner with him, and he just picked up his glass. And I noticed his arm development. Now, granted, I've watched Phil compete for many, many years, watched him win the Olympia the same amount of times as Arnold Schwarzenegger won it. He is an iconic, impressive champion and a good guy too. So we're having dinner and he goes to, he reaches for his glass, he picks it up and his arms are otherworldly. It's something that most people have never seen up close. And this is 20 some odd years of me in this business. And I see Phil's arm and I'm watching the way his triceps are extending. I'm just watching the overall flow of the arm, right? And I stopped and I looked at him and I said, Phil, I said, that's unbelievable. And he looked at me like, what are you talking about? I said, your arm is unbelievable. And he thought I was crazy. And I said to him, no matter how many fancy titles I might ever have, no matter how many opportunities I might have to, run a world championship event or be around leaders and entrepreneurs and visionaries, at my core, I will never lose sight of how remarkably extraordinary some of these individuals are. And I will look, in that case, it was just his arm. It was just his arm. He was wearing a t-shirt and I looked at it and it was eye-popping, jaw-dropping. And I pray to God that I never lose that. Because if I lose that appreciation for that part of it, then this becomes just a job. And I don't want that to be. That's why I say to all my friends who have jobs or careers in Major League Baseball or the NBA or other extraordinary things that showcase the best in the world, I always say, don't allow yourself to lose sight that every day you get to be around men and women who do things that are the best of the best. And we can't lose sight of that. So to answer your question, no, it doesn't get old. I never stop marveling in the extraordinary nature of what is in front of me. And I hope to everybody who's listening, no matter what you do, if you're the top of the world in investing or if you're the top of the world in any line of work that you're in, don't stop appreciating it and don't lose sight of how remarkable it is to be up close to all of that, because we can't lose that. It's vital.
Yeah. It's funny is the reason I'm asking, because like people when COVID happened and everybody got upset, they closed the beaches. And it's like, I asked, like, when did you go to the beach last time? 5 years ago. I'm like, why are you complaining? You know what I mean? Because suddenly it was taken away and we take stuff for granted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when we have coffee before we start the podcast, I asked you the question and you said, please ask me the question at the podcast. Why there's a distinguish that like people, when they get older and they get more financially healthy, why suddenly they start caring about longevity, about all the fitness, the health, and all, like why some of us don't have this from the beginning, from the roots of the childhood. It just, we reach the levels and suddenly, the awareness is there. And I know you told me is also very expensive to take care of.
Yeah, no, it's such a good question too, because you're right. Some of the most successful people in the world have suddenly developed this desire to commit to longevity and all the various therapies that are available. And there's so many amazing therapies that are available that will help us become stronger, become healthier, help us live longer. So why do successful people, to your question, suddenly take that on? Well, there's a couple things.
But not only financially, like success on all the level of all the platforms.
Right.
Artists, book writers, influencers,
right.
Like all this.
I think what happens is naturally once we achieve something in life where we start to really settle in and enjoy what we're doing. We've gone through the mud, we've grinded, we've suffered, we've had our losses, we've had a few wins. Maybe in some cases there's been financial struggle, there's been divorce, there's been failed relationships, whatever it is. But you get to that point in your life, whenever that is. For some people that comes when they're 40, for some it comes when they're 60, when they're 80, whatever it is. When you get to that place and all of a sudden you realize, man, I have grinded it out and now my life is pretty good. I wake up every day and whatever the individual definition of success is, you wake up every day and you really gain an appreciation for your life. And I think it's those individuals who want to live forever because they have finally found that rhythm. They have found that energy. They've connected to that source, whatever that is. Maybe it's their spouse, maybe it's their job, maybe it's where they live, maybe it's what they get to do every day. Whatever it is, they have achieved a level of joy that they don't want to let go. And I also think that as you get older, there are new things that you want to live for. You might have grandchildren, you might have kids, whatever it is. But I think that clarity and that understanding of longevity, I had a father who passed away at 66. He lived his entire life by the book, saved, didn't live beyond his means, bought a house when he was in his early 30s, paid off the mortgage in 30 years every month, did it the right way, didn't overspend, lived a relatively healthy life. And when he was 66, they found a spot on his pancreas. And days later, I was eulogizing him. And I think to myself, looking back on that, he was deprived of everything. He was on the brink of retiring. He had just become a grandfather 2 years earlier for the first time. He was about to enter that next chapter in his life. And I'd imagine he was probably about to enter into that window that you're talking about right now, where he would have really created a commitment and a devotion for trying to live as long as possible. But he didn't get to that place where he was able to even have those thoughts. Also, keep in mind that back in those days, my father passed away 16 years ago. Mm-hmm. Back in those days, there wasn't as much available as there is today. No. The things that are available to us today in longevity and anti-aging is extraordinary. And I oftentimes, now I don't know if that would have cured his pancreatic ailment. It may have helped him live longer. We'll never know. But I can tell you, as somebody who experienced a father dying long before he should have, and not ever hearing my son say the word grandpa to him, and I think about that a lot. That really, I think people have those experiences. People have lost loved ones, and that's the reason why we want to be around. And I know you gloss past the financial piece, but let's also not lose sight of the fact that it's far more expensive to live a healthy life than it is to live an unhealthy life. A Big Mac, as everybody knows, is much cheaper than it is to go into Fresh Market and get some healthier options. The cost of the various therapies that are available to us, they don't come free.
They don't come free.
And it is, it can't be lost in all of this that once you achieve the ability to do that, it would be absurd not to take advantage of the ability to use those various therapies and services.
What gets you going? What's your story?
Yeah, honestly, for me, it's there's a few things.
Okay. Don't be shy.
Yeah.
Don't be shy. We're here for the ball. Don't worry.
Yeah. No,
we talk about suicide, depression. me. I'm seriously. I'm still working like depression-holic, alcoholic, workaholic, workoutaholic. Yeah. So I'm still in recovery on all this stuff. You know. So
no, there's a few things. One is probably a little bit more on the surface, and I care deeply about the fitness industry. I do. I've really come to respect it and understand it in a way that I never did. It's become so much more than the muscle that lays beneath the skin. It's become so much more than hitting personal records. It's become so much more than any of that. There's something innately deep that lives within the fitness and bodybuilding lifestyle that I've really come to want to cultivate and want to provide opportunities and want to help it grow, want to bring resources, want to make sure that we are connecting and inspiring more people, creating opportunities for people that may not have understood how to get into this lifestyle to explore it. And I take it very personally when people don't understand the fitness lifestyle, when they label a bodybuilder as a meathead, for example. I'm troubled by that because the reality is if you actually sit down with somebody who's committed their life to bodybuilding and physique and fitness transformation, they're some of the smartest people you'll ever talk to. Their understanding of physiology and nutrition and mental toughness, it's unlike anything people could even imagine. And I want everybody else who's on the outside to understand that there's some really powerful, inspiring resources that live within the fitness community. So I feel on some level that it's partially my job, along with others who are leaders in the space, to do their part to make sure the world understands the treasures that live within the fitness industry. So that's one thing. The other thing that motivates me is this understanding of why people take on this lifestyle. People's, I always say, find your why. As you get to know the why in the world of fitness and bodybuilding, I have interest in a number of different things. I'm an owner of a national chain of gyms called Wolf Fitness or Wolf Gyms, depending on the city, and they're growing pretty rapidly. And through that, I've gotten to understand the gym community in a way that I didn't really understand it before on all levels. And when you walk into a gym now and you see that person training in the corner who is in there because his family got him the membership because he just had a quadruple bypass and they want to get him healthy enough to dance at his daughter's wedding, or the girl who's overcoming obesity and she's been bullied and she's there, and maybe people in the gym might be looking at her or maybe even looking down at her or him because they don't look the way you think they should look. But those are my favorite people at the gym because those are the people who are in there for reasons that are real, that are that are really meaningful. And I love being a part of something that connects to that is creating ways for people to overcome things physically, emotionally, psychologically. And
so so it's very intimidating for people like that.
Sure.
What advice would you give them? Because they go into a gym and they're like, really, they don't know what to do with that. Like a lot of those equipments, what advice would you give them? Like, because I always say, just do it and just don't look at anybody. You're doing this for yourself, not for anybody else. But you get intimidated.
Yeah.
Like I'm not anymore, but it took me years. Remember, I'm an endurance athlete. I always look like skinny, you know what I mean? Like when I show up in the gym, like, dude, you don't belong here, dude.
So to answer your question, instead of talking to the people who are intimidated, I'm going to talk to the people who are at the gym members, the people who have been there for years. And I'm going to tell them the same thing that my good friend Joey Swoll tells everybody every day about creating a positive gym culture and advocating for that. It's so important. If you see somebody at the gym who looks like they're just getting started, come on over there, walk over and offer them some assistance, offer them some input, and embrace it and provide a welcoming atmosphere for those individuals, because that's really what it's all about. If you're not using your knowledge to inspire and to lift people up, then get the fuck out of the gym, because that's what this is all about. It's all about lifting people up, right? It's all about using your genetic advantage or the physique that you've spent years building. Use it in ways that impact more than the mirror. And if you start doing that, then we'll have something that we can all really be proud of. And to the person out there who's on the fence about coming into the gym, don't be afraid, because I think you'll be pleasantly surprised by the culture in most gyms. And not every gym is as welcoming as others, but I think generally speaking, I think the world has gotten to a place where positivity is celebrated more so than it's ever been celebrated, and negative narcissism assholes are put in their place more today than they've ever been before. So my hope is that the individual who's out there, who is on the fence or is afraid, comes in the gym, has a workout, get on the treadmill, go for a walk for 15 minutes. Allow yourself to get comfortable and stay a while. And you might be surprised that one day, a few years down the road, you'll be telling the story about how you yourself were scared to walk in the gym.
Exactly.
And now you are fit and healthy and strong in every possible way. And but you got to start.
You use the word lifestyle probably 10, 20 times during this, last hour during podcast. Like, people, I there's no diet, there's no fitness regime. I think it is the lifestyle. How do you make the transition? It's like, that's because, like, for me, because I've been in it so long, so like to me that's what I live. Like, I need to sleep, I need to eat healthy. I go every day in the morning in the mirror. It's like, I love you. I will take care of you today. I will not,
Yeah.
I will do the workouts. I will do all the stuff for you. And it's like, it's to me, it's normal, meditation, cold plunge, workout. If I don't go to the gym, even if I like 15 minutes, if I don't just go through some push-ups or something like that, there's something in my head going like ding 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 ding, something is missing, and then I have a short fuse. And how how you like, because it is lifestyle. You know that, I know that. We don't have to sell anything to anybody, but how do you make the switch? Like, because I think your story and the people, like, they the examples, they inspire people, you know what I mean? But how it's their lifestyle. This is not just, they don't do this for fun. It's just, because then they keep it for the rest of the life.
Sure.
There's a part of the missing. So how do we change the awareness or bring the conscious level of people? It's a lifestyle. There's no diet. This is the mental strength, because like you said, those guys are so strong mentally.
Yeah.
How do you how do you just put this on the plate, and it's like, here is a, like a.
It's funny you use the word lifestyle, and I, of course, use it a lot. And I appreciate you identifying that, because that is what makes this community, this fitness industry, fitness community, so unique. Because unlike any other discipline, you don't attach the word lifestyle to very many things. But this is a lifestyle. It is a mindset. It is the way you live. It is not what you do. It's the way you live. And I think it just kind of organically happens. I think it starts off with a gym membership. I remember for me, when I was a kid, I was once at home. I was probably 13, 14 years old. And my father and my brother got into a big argument. And in order to cool off, my dad left the house, went for a drive, just wanted to cool down a little bit. He wasn't a guy that got worked up a lot, but he was upset about something that happened. And while he was out and about, he knew that I was kind of into working out. We had this rusty old bench press in the garage that I would use with the kids in the neighborhood. So he decided to drive over to a nearby gym. I think it was called Scandinavian. It's like basically what you would consider today like a Bally's or an LA Fitness. Mm-hmm. And he got me a membership. And it was a huge deal. And he came home and he said, Danny, I got you a membership for this gym. And it was as if the mountains parted, and all of a sudden it was just a whole new world. And I remember, and it happened so innocently that way. And then I started going to the gym. And I started to become stronger, and I started to feel the way that felt. And I started to crave going to the gym every day. And I was motivated by different things. I was probably a shorter kid at that point in my life. I'm not a tall guy now. I'm about an average height, 5'10". But back in those days, I was a short kid. And I'm sure on some level that probably drove me to want to put on muscle. And with each passing day, it started to grow within me, and I started to drink protein shakes, and I started to do other things. I never went down any roads. I was never a steroid user. That was never anything that lived within me. I didn't pursue it to that level, but I just enjoyed the lifestyle. I enjoyed the way I felt after I left the gym, and it all started. And then of course, from there it went on to one thing, and then the next, and then the next, and next thing you know, I'm making my career doing this. But it may have all started the day my dad just went out and got me a membership to a gym innocently, without thinking twice about it, and set me down a path where it became my lifestyle. And there was no, at that point, other path for me to take. This was the path. I wanted this to be in my life on some level. And it became...
Clearly is.
Yeah, and it became this innate, very natural thing for me. And I love doing it. And I'm proud to do it. And there's very gratifying moments when somebody walks on an Olympia stage for the first time and you see the way it affects them. And when somebody attends the Olympia for the first time and it's the realization of a lifelong bucket list experience. And they come over with tears streaming down their face, and they're so excited to be there because they've come from the other side of the world and they've been saving for this chance to finally get there, and they finally got there. And to hear them speak of what it means to them. And then, in getting to open up the Olympia every year, Saturday night, Mr. Olympia finals, the event opens. I walk up to a podium. There's millions watching around the world. There's thousands in the building. And I'm speaking to the community all around the world of people who live, eat, and breathe this lifestyle. And it's such an honor to get to do that because I know that they're such a unique audience. You had mentioned the word lifestyle. Mm-hmm. They're unique because they wake up every day. They're not just an audience of spectators or observers. You go to a UFC fight, UFC is incredibly successful, but the people in those seats, they're not really fighters. They just go there to watch and be entertained and root for their favorite fighter. And it's an amazing product that they've built. But in our world, it's different. It's a community of people who live, eat, breathe, and sleep this lifestyle. So I'm always very proud to get to have a few moments with them because I feel like we understand each other. I feel like it's a different connection that we have as leaders in the fitness industry with people who live this lifestyle. It's the kind of connection that the commissioner of the NFL or the commissioner of Major League Baseball is not going to have with their fans because it's a different conversation. It's a different connection point. And all of that, again, started at a very young age. And I'm very proud to do it.
I just want to say I'm extremely grateful and for having you and bringing the awareness to society about and I love how you're changing the industry of the lifestyle number one, but also the mental health and the physical health, and now you're just bringing the longevity. You just have like the whole thing is completely expanding, and it's funny, more and more people are talking about it. Yeah. So you guys do an amazing job. So just keep doing it, and it's not easy. And I love how you get upset about the stereotype, the meatheads and stuff like that. It's just changing the whole perspective on how people see the whole industry, and it's more and more people get involved, and I'm really grateful for it.
And I'm grateful to be here, Jarek, because there was a time when people who do what you do or have achieved your level of success or have your life wouldn't be dialed into this. There was a time when that wasn't happening. And the fact that you understand this world enough, live the lifestyle yourself, and want to bring these kind of stories, not just mine, but others who are in this space, because I know your show has had other leaders and innovators in the world of fitness and nutrition and longevity. It means a lot to me because it means that whatever we're doing, it's working.
It's working.
It's working. And I'm just so, I can't tell you how much it's not just about being here today talking to you. It's about what it represents in the bigger picture of what many of us who wake up every day to try to advance the fitness lifestyle, the bodybuilding movement, we all work very hard to get individuals like yourself, iconic leaders, treasures in your space, people who have done more than most people could ever dream, like yourself. And to be here in a room talking to you about not your stuff, but mine. Yeah. That is incredibly
We're
gratifying.
changing lives then, and you definitely changing lives. And it's like I always say, one at a time. And well, you guys do thousands at a time.
Hey guys, it was great catching up with you today. Be sure to stay in touch. I'd love to hear about what you're doing in the world of fitness. I want to hear about your projects. I want to hear about what you're doing each and every day to become the best version of yourself. You can hit me up on Instagram, DanSolomon_official, or check out the Mr. Olympia at MrOlympia.com.
So I appreciate you, brother.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was amazing. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for listening. Leave your comments and subscribe for more insights on mastering the inner and outer wealth.